Hello, hi there, it's Julie Rothel from artyheaven.com. So I said that I would do, if you haven't come across them before, I have been running a free online workshop over the last few days. So 5 days working with the Art's Encaustic range of waxes and encaustic stylus and encaustic iron. It's had some really, really good feedback. It's been really well received. I've had people contact me from all over the world. People in New Zealand, Australia, Canada, America, who've kind of caught, maybe not the whole thing, but parts of it. It's had some really good feedback. I've inspired people through the techniques that I was sharing. And the UK, of course, which is where I'm based. So some people locally to me as well. So it's been really, really good. I've absolutely loved it. And what I've done so in a moment I'm going to show you an actual workshop of what I'm about to explain. But what I've done is I have got some online courses and I've bundled them together to help people with those techniques. I've been running workshops here in my various studios for the last 7 years, but I'm bringing that online. So I've had a paint with an iron online course for a long time now. I now have a stylus online course and this style now. So what I'm going to be doing is showing you how to paint with wax and daymar. I use the RNF range of waxes just because it's the only one that I can get here in the UK. But encaustic is the broadest range. There are so many things you can do with it. It just sparks so many ideas. It's the most amazing medium to work with. And on the 5-day workshop, I really had to keep it focused because your head just starts going. So we were making Christmas cards and we were working on paper. Tuck them all away now. We were working on paper in a thin format. Let me just see if I can. Oh, here they are. Oh, one sec. I'll just go and grab them. Tied them away. I've had another workshop in here since then. So we were making these kinds of cards. Now, this wax is beautiful, but it's a very thin, so this is just literally on paper. It's one thin layer and you manipulate it with the iron or the stylus. And we were using different attachments with the stylus. So if you haven't caught that, that's still available. It's on YouTube and on my Facebook page. And I've linked them all up into one blog on my website, which is artyheaven.com. So you can go and check those out there. But what I was saying is that this style of wax really dovetails nicely into the wax and daymar based encaustic. Now, they're two very different things. In that with the wax and daymar, you can actually build up in layers. So you start to, you fuse layers together and you can incorporate all sorts of amazing mixed media and really lovely, materials within those layers. So the wax has, by adding this daymar resin, it raises the melting point and makes it much more durable, which the other range of waxes is a much lower melting point. Both beautiful techniques. And so what I wanted to do was just show you a way, because I've had quite a lot of people who said they've got an awful lot of craft materials, the same as me, in their studios or at home, and they would like to know how you can begin to incorporate that. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So I'm going to turn this camera around, I'm going to launch straight into the workshop, and I'll just show you how you can pull those together and how they start to weave together. All right, so let me see if I can turn this around. So what I've got set up here today, I've got my hot plate over here, and I've got a selection of craft supplies. So hello, I can see somebody's on live there, so thank you for joining. So what I've got under here, at the end of the workshop last week, I showed you this. So this is a craft iron, for those of you that didn't see it, and normally it's kind of like this and we iron with it, but you can actually use it as a hot plate as well. So I'm going to turn it upside down and I'll show you how we can incorporate that, and we'll start to get some of these supplies and I'll show you how we can layer them. So this is great for if you've got, so I'll often layer, dried flowers, feathers, you know, there's all sorts of different things. So I'm going to show you how to do that basically. So what you need for this is, hopefully you can see and hear this okay. Do say if you can't, pop in the comments. So once you've got the iron and the stylus that we were working with, which is over here, tucked it out the way for ease. I don't know if you can see that. So we were working with the iron and the stylus last week. Don't need it for today. Once you've got those materials, you can then transfer it across to this range of waxes. So what I'm going to do, I've got in here, this is, actually I've normally got a wooden peg or a little, it's not particularly hot today, so it's fine. But if you have a little set of silicone mitts or a wooden clothes peg to move that on and off, that can help your fingers, but it's really not too bad. So this is this is plain beeswax with a Damar resin, and it's been melted, so you can see that okay. It's been melted into its molten form, and I've melted that literally just by sitting it on top of the iron, mini iron, upside down, and that's melted that quite nicely. I need to just adjust the heat, turn it up a little bit to give it that higher temperature, but that has done. Now what you need for this, whereas on the 5-day challenge workshop we were working on encaustic paper, you actually need a rigid surface for this. So what I've got today is, this is actually an encaustic board, which is specifically made for encaustic. But I mean, there are so many different ways in which you can apply this. So on my online course, we just use mount card sometimes, just as for practice pieces, and that's really nice. On a small scale, this works beautifully. As you start to scale up, you need something with a more rigid, and there are certain types of wood and things that really lend itself to this method of working with wax. But this is what I'm going to get into today. Now, one thing I will say about this range of waxes is what I'm going to show you here. We're just having one small pot of medium being warmed, and that's all I'm going to use. But if you want to get into this in a big way, you can start to colour this wax in with pigments. Honestly, there are so many things you can do with it. But if you decide to go down that route and you want to take it further than what I'm going to show you today, I really recommend you go and find a local tutor near to you who can explain the health and safety aspects of it. So really, you should have very good ventilation. You want to be very careful with pigments, and you've just got to be very careful of your melting points. Those are really the key things. Really not massively complicated once you get into it, but you just need to be aware of that. But for what I'm going to show you today, we're working at, we've got one small pot here. It's quite a low temperature, and the majority of the rest of the work, I'm just going to show you using my heat gun. So there's not a massive amount of, I don't need to be too concerned with it today. So what you're going to need is, you're going to need some form of rigid board. So simple as mount card. I'm going to work on this one today, and you're going to need some form of heat gun. Now, a lot of people, I've got a lot of craft supplies, so an embossing tool would do this. Okay. So this is a heat gun. Some people will use a blowtorch, a bit like a creme brulee kind of style, through to really big, quite industrial blowtorches and heat guns that way. So I'm going to show you how this works. Now, this is going to be quite noisy, so you might want to just turn the volume down or put your fingers in your ears for a minute. But you want to work on a warmed surface, basically. So I'm just going to warm this up. So this board has already got 2 layers of encaustic medium on here, so I've just brushed them on. And the thing with this form of wax is you fuse each layer together, and fusing meaning heating. So I'm going to start off with a warmed board, and then I'll start to show you how you can apply some of these other materials on. It will all become apparent in time, I'm sure, hopefully. So apologies for the noise. Try not to blow my things away. So by warming this, all I'm doing is just bringing it up to a nice soft temperature. What that's now doing is if I put my, if I put my finger in this now, I can actually make an indent and a mark. I don't know if you can see it, okay, or not. So I'm warming the board to make it pliable, and it's gonna take these mixed media things that I've got. So you've got, and I was saying, I bet you've got some of these things in your craft stores around at home. So you can add bits of fabric. You can add, so start to think about what you've got in your stores at home. These are what's the name of them? Tapes. Oh, what are they called? The names escape me. Something like a wasp. Oh, if anybody knows, pop in the comments. I want to say wasabi. Anyway, it's a tape that you can pick up in a lot of craft stores. You can add those on. So just think of anything that you can kind of layer on. And in a moment, I'm going to add some more wax medium, and I'll show you how to sort of sandwich that together. So I've got these are lovely from a bouquet I had. So I dried some flowers. So just start to think about anything that you have at home that you can start to add into the wax with this. I've done that very straight. So, and I'll show you how to add papers as well in a moment as well. But basically kind of come up with some form of design that you are liking the look of. I'll come back to, I think I'll add these one at a time. And then what I'm going to do, so you need a natural haired brush for this. Don't use synthetic brushes because they will melt with the heat. But you're just going to take your wax medium, you can see this okay, and you're going to basically encase whatever it is that you've just added into the wax. You can see that okay? Now I've added that layer, so what I now need to do is I need to fuse that layer I've just added to the layer underneath. So to do that, I'm going to get my heat tool, as I say, which could be a blowtorch, it could be an embossing tool. This is a like a paint stripper kind of from a DIY store, but you just make sure you kind of adjust it according to how hot, you want to be quite careful on your heat temperatures. So if you want to go into that, I say this is really where you kind of want to either do a bit of research either on the internet. I say I've got my online course for anybody that wants to take it further and go, really understand the differences. But in effect, you just need to melt one layer to the next layer. So I'm just going to melt this again. Excuse the sound. And I'm basically sort of embedding that into that layer. Hopefully you can see okay. As always, I'll take some photographs at the end so you can see what's happening here. So I can take, this is where you start to kind of, your imagination runs wild really from here on. I haven't come up with an actual design per se in my head, I don't know which way around I'm going. Anyway, I'm just going to put a few random things on, and we'll see how it comes out at the end. So this is a kind of a wooden, just a little cutout thing you pick up from the craft store. I've tried to select some things that you're highly likely to have in your studio at home. If you're anything like me, wander around the craft store. I found these actually. These are some little angel wings. I might have a little play with those. But you just start to, once you understand the concepts of working in this style, you just see things and your mind will just shoot off and you think, oh, I'm going to try that. So I'm going to add, so basically all you do, where am I going? Here we go. You're basically kind of encasing all of this within the layers of wax. This one's quite thick actually, so I'm going to need to put quite a lot of medium on here around this one. As always, if you've got questions, please put them in the comments and let me know if you can hear, or I think anybody's on live at the moment. Okay, so I now need to give that a really good fuse to make sure it stays put. Okay, now this form of wax holds its heat for a lot longer than the other style was holding its heat for, so I don't want to put my fingers or touch that too quickly, or I will have a great big sludgy mess there. But I'm going to just keep building up in different areas just to give you an idea. Actually, I want to, the thistle works in this. I want to show you some papers first, actually, before I add that on. So there are a number of different ways. My one just blew away, bear with me. So papers are a really nice way to add you know, colour and line to your work as well. So sometimes I'll literally, I mean, I've got an old dictionary that I'll just find a word that I like the look of. But what's really nice is you can print onto tracing papers. There are all sorts of different papers, rice papers, this, you know, so again, just depending on what your theme is, you can take a page and you either paste this on now with the next layer of encaustic, or sometimes it will actually suck up the layer below. So let me try and show you that in a moment. Okay, so this is a this has got quite a thick coating on it actually, so it's not so, I'll show you with the tracing paper in a moment. I'm just trying to add some different paper types. Actually, I'm not going to do that whole piece, I'm just going to show you. So I'll often kind of rip out sections so that you just get little glimpses. And honestly, you could do a whole workshop just on the ways of adding paper to encaustic. Hopefully you can move that over, it might be a bit better for you. You can literally do a whole workshop on this. You can burnish images in, you can print them on a variety of different papers. There are honestly, so many things. I'm just trying to give you just a bit of a selection of techniques here. Oh, actually, I'll just say as well, what I was going to show you is I've got my hot plate here next to me as well, over here. So you do need to be careful of melting points and things with this technique. But what I'm going to do, actually, I'll switch this across. So the wax, when it comes, so just to show you, so if you've got the craft iron at home, I'm going to show you how easy it is to get this wax medium going. So it comes so sort of inside this bag that comes in pellet form. It looks, you can see okay, so it's basically pellets, little small pellets, and this is just purified beeswax with a Damar resin. So I'm going to just melt some in here, and you can watch that melt down, and you'll see how easy it is to melt. I also do these little cakes, so sometimes I'll buy a big, you know, I buy my wax medium in on a huge scale, but I'll just melt them into small cakes like this. And if you want to buy any of these ones at this size, contact me, because if you just want to have a go and don't want to buy the whole bag, it is quite an expensive medium to work with. So message me, and I sell these for, depending on the size of them, £4 or £5 each. So if you just want to have a go on a small scale, then that's a way that you can get hold of them. The smallest bags these come in are £1 bags, and these are £28. So it's quite difficult to get hold of in the UK. There aren't many art shops that do it, so hence I started selling the supplies myself. But they come in bags of up to, I think it's £10 bag is the biggest. But I can help you if you want any help with supplies. I can help you with that. So I've added that medium on. Put a bit more down here, and again I need to fuse again now. Get my next layer on. I can't see if anybody's on live. I'm hoping this is going out okay. I will come back later and have another check on comments. This is what so this one has been printed onto an actual tissue paper, if you like, whereas this was a shop bought one, so it wasn't soaking up as well. I'm just going to I don't want it to, it's not in keeping with the theme of these pieces that I'm putting on here, so I've got a separate sample board here, but I just wanted to show you how it kind of absorbs the wax. So let me just start hoping this is going to work okay. There we go. So if you work with tissue papers, you don't actually even need to put that second layer of wax over the top. Just by placing it on top and melting it, the paper is so absorbent underneath that it literally just kind of, it soaks. You can see that. Okay, I'll take photographs of this again and put in the comments on my Facebook page so you can see. But it just literally soaks, you know, it embeds effectively itself, the paper into the wax. It's a beautiful way to work. It's absolutely lovely. So there are just countless different ways that I could show you. As I say, you can get an image, you can place it on, you can burnish it, you wet the back and rub the back. There's honestly, images in themselves are just a subject in itself. So have a think about what you've got on your, at home in your, trying to create something here that looks half reasonable as opposed to lots of things just plonked on, she says. Have a think about what you've got in your stores at home and your craft cupboards. We all tend to go around and buy these things and don't necessarily use them after. Oops, hang on, I've forgotten to talking and filming at the same time. As I say, bringing this online is bit of a first for me, so bear with me. And when you do it live, you don't have a chance to edit out. The one thing with my online courses is I do get a chance to edit out any blooper, miss words and things, whereas live you're getting the full unedited version. So that's another layer of that tape, and again I'm going to fuse that in now. So you can see already how, hopefully, quite quickly we've pulled some quite nice shapes and patterns together. So you can just keep on building this up. I think I'm going to add one of those thistle leaves, wherever that went. And then I'll show you how to add a bit of colour from the top as well. Quite sure I would have had that as a finished design, but hey ho. Okay, just about there. Not ideal, but so again, I really want to put quite a lot of medium onto this now and really kind of paste it in. so that it doesn't, you just want to be quite careful when they're quite thick like this. Really a thinner, slimmer thickness item is better. But I've been waiting with these to come up with a plan for them. So I'll probably add a bit more medium to that shortly, but just so you get the idea. And then again we fuse. Sorry for the noise. Okay. And then, you know, you can do so much with this. So you can literally kind of drizzle it on, a bit low on, you can drip it on. Get some really nice finishes with it. So it's a very different technique to the iron and stylus that we were using last week, but as I say, they just, all of the equipment and materials really, you know, mix in and you can use with each other quite nicely. So if you can see here, actually this is the medium that I put in a moment ago, so it's melting. You can see it's getting to its molten form. It's just taking a little bit of time, but that's fine. It will come up to temperature quite soon. There we go. And then once all of this completely cools, it will solidify and then it's completely solid, and that's where you've got your finished, you know, it hardens, it solidifies, it cools, and it's, you know, that's your finished piece. So I'm just going to fuse those drips and drizzles on that I just put on. And then I'll show you a way to colour the wax from the top as well. So attach those. Now this is where it starts to get quite fun, and you can use other supplies that you might have. So for example, I've got loads and loads of oil paints. I've got these glitters which are really lovely. They just add the tiniest little bit of sparkle. I've got some pan pastels which I didn't get out actually, but they are just glorious for just adding that tiny teeny bit of colour on the top. Let me show you with this just to give you an idea. A little bit of glitter. Not going to go too mad with it. And then again, really light fuse. Just to sort of embed that into the wax. It's catching the light okay there. So you can add, so oil paints, so start to think, but this is where you can start to think about what supplies you have at home. And you can just add, so those little drips and drizzles that we've just put on, you can just add little highlights. You can literally kind of colour the top of the wax with that oil paint as well. It's just, I don't know if it's showing up very well in this light, it's just enough just to kind of give it a bit of a glisten. Obviously I've chosen a silver right now, but you can choose any colour you like, or whatever you have. So I'm hoping you're kind of getting the idea. So we can actually dig into this wax and we can put colour within the wax. You do want to be careful. If you use oil paints, you just want to be careful with the structure of the wax. You can't have too much oil and too much wax together. So there are some things that you'll need to investigate with that if you haven't used oil paints with wax before. But honestly, your mind just keeps on sparking. Honestly, there are so many things you can do with it, and you can just keep on layering and layering and adding more and more things, mixed media items to this. And in working in this style, you really aren't, you're not going to, what's the word I'm looking for? The health and safety aspects are quite limited if you're working in this way. You've got a very low heat. You haven't got, this iron isn't going to you're not going to get up to flash points with that. Keep it on as low a heat as you can, but it's enough to enable you to start to kind of bring in some of those items that you might have in your craft stores. I've got oodles. I mean, you can, this is what I was going to show you. See, Daisy. Bear with me. So these are some of the samples that we do on the online course. So we'll kind of go through all of these different techniques with you. So there's an awful lot of things thrown onto boards here, but just to give you some ideas. And there are ways that you can use pre-bought blocks. You can add your own pigments. You can add your own oil sticks. It really does start to kind of become limitless with what you can do. You can add pan pastels to the top, which is the technique there. You can add, papers, a bit of gold leaf on this one. And so you can push down into the wax and start to indent. There's a whole range of techniques you can do there. So we kind of go through a lot of these through the online course. So this one, similar to the techniques we've just been using now, this has got tissue paper added in there, another of these butterflies. So it's just such an amazing medium to work with. These are all just samples I tend to use, just pick up the nearest one in my in-person workshops here. But we go through and sort of understand how to blend these colours. You get these really dreamy, lovely mixes of layers of colour. So honestly, once you get going with it, your mind will just, these are not finished pieces, obviously, they're just sample test pieces that we've been using, much the same way as I just showed you. So it's very much a techniques thing that we go through, but it's just enough. It really, really sparks people's minds. So let me turn this around again, if I can. Hang on, let's have a look. Wrong way. What did I do earlier? Here we go. Go that way. There we go. So it really sparks people's, ideas off with people. Honestly, I could just keep on going. There are so many tools and ways and methods of colouring that wax. You can just keep on going and keep going. I keep seeing that people are coming off and then they're disappearing again. There haven't been any comments that I can see this time. So I'm hoping this is all recording okay and Facebook Live isn't having a bit of a glitchy afternoon. I'll come back and watch the replay in a moment and check that it's actually broadcasting properly. So we'll, I'll double check that in a moment. But I've been getting a lot of questions about just online or people emailing me about how they wanted to know how they could start. They've got an awful lot of craft supplies in their, their houses or art rooms at home, and they wanted to know how they could begin to incorporate those. So that's why I wanted to do this bonus workshop, just to show you with the layering technique, with the wax and daymar, how that works, because honestly from here your mind can just so many ideas constantly. Hello Luann, hi, thank you so much for joining. Oh, that's great, thank you for the comments, because at least I know that somebody can see me and hear me, which is good. I know that I'm not talking to myself here, so that's good to know. If you've got any questions, again, pop them in the comments below. I don't know how much you've caught. So I just wanted to show you really how, by starting off with the iron and the stylus, you can then go into with the stylus with this. Honestly, there are so many things you can do. But as I say, if you want to take this wax and daymar technique further, I would recommend that you either get a really good book, you find a tutor near to you and really understand, because as I say, there are health and safety implications. You do need to know your melting points. And when you start bringing other mixed media in, there are just some key ground basics that you need to understand. But once you understand the fundamentals of it, honestly, it's as limitless as your imagination. And that's why I've got the online course as well. So that's why I wanted to bring this in. So what I've done is I bundled those 3 courses. So painting with an iron, stylus, and this layering wax and daymar. So I've put those together as a bundle, and I'm doing those as a special offer until Friday. And then after Friday, that offer goes away and they all go back to their individual pricing options again. So for some people, what I've shown them is enough and they're quite happy going through YouTube. But what I've done with these courses is I have just pulled all of my learning and my knowledge together and put them into these to shortcut that for you, because it's hours and hours of time, and I would sit and I would go through YouTube and I would search and search, and it never quite showed me the information that I needed. It was always just enough to tease you, but not quite enough to kind of really understand what information you were getting. So that's why I've put these together. And what I'm doing on this live is a bit rough and ready, but the videos on the online course are shot directly on my phone, so you haven't got this dodgy internet connection. And I really kind of show you step by step, and I try and get you, so I literally get you to go away with these sort of library of cards, and they often, if you look at the trailer video, but they have a, you get a little card with what the techniques were, card by card on there, so you get this sort of library of techniques to refer back to, because also you look at things and you can't always remember how you created that effect. So that's why I've done that. So I just wanted to show that to you, really. So a couple of other things. If you found all this useful, and because I will do these, it has such good feedback from people. It really has been great. So I will continue to do more of these, like little mini taster sessions, if you like, to Encaustic. One, I think it helps to spread what Encaustic is all about and what it does. Two, if I can help people with that, then that's why I'm doing this. So do go to my website. I've got a newsletter. So if you go to www.artyheaven.com, there's a selection there called All Updates. If you tick that, then you'll definitely hear about any more of these that are coming up, because I'll send that on email as well. So I thought I must just add that. So as I say, I hope that's been helpful. If you didn't see the start of this, I'll just start to show you how you can begin to introduce some of those craft supply things that you might have, at home. So anything from feathers to ribbons to pieces of wire, you can incorporate, you can indent, you can drip, drizzle. There are so many things you can do with it. So it really is a great medium for that. But as I say, on that layering course, I go through everything that you need, from what supports to work on, what heat sources there are, how to fuse, and it's all up close, so you can really see what brushes to use, what the health and safety aspects are, and really kind of get you layering all of these techniques together. So as I say, for some of you, what I've shown you will be quite enough and interesting, that's fine. But if you want to go further and you want more information, then the next step really is to kind of go and have a look at that bundle. As I say, you can buy the courses individually at any time. It's just that I have put that bundle together to just make it a better deal for you, basically. And because they literally sort of dovetail in so nicely. The other thing that I have done, actually, that I don't know that I've mentioned on a live yet, I've posted in my Facebook page, and it's gone out on my newsletter. I'll turn this around a moment, bear with me. Is that I have added two things. So let me turn this around quickly. What I've done is, if you saw any of my earlier lives, I had 2 online courses, one for if you wanted products and one if you didn't. What I've done is I've actually combined them into one course now, and then what you can do now is you can actually buy the products from inside the online course. So you go and buy the online course, and then if you're in the UK and you need products, then you click this here, I need to buy products, and then we can sort that. That's got all the information in there for you. And as I say, I've then bundled the 3 courses together and the free 5-day workshop as well. But what I've also done is Christmas is a busy time financially for people, so I've actually added a couple of payment plans on there now as well. So you can actually now split the course over 2 payments or over 4 payments. So I think it was 2 payments of £95 or 4 payments of £50, and then digital tax depending on your countries that you live in. So I thought I must add that on as well. So let's turn this back around again. As I say, and that offer does get taken down on Friday, the 13th of December. So, and as I say, you can just buy them individually. We're going to have monthly, I don't want people to just buy a course and not use it. We're going to have monthly accountability calls as well. So if you need a bit of a extra push to get you creating, or you want to ask questions and you don't understand, there's an awful lot of confusion with Encaustic. So I'm going to do 3 monthly Zoom calls as well. So that's another bonus that comes with that, and accountability. Anyway, all the information is on there, and just message me if you want to know more information. So yeah, so I hope that's helpful. I hope it makes sense. There are some videos that are free to preview. So if you go into that layering online course, you can just hit preview on some of those videos and you'll see some of the things that we cover there. I can't remember which ones off the top of my head. So that's all on there set up. But yeah, as I say, I hope that's helpful. I'll come back and check the comments later on. I don't want to take too much time again today. And I'll check back in tomorrow. I might do one last live. What day is it? I've lost count of days. I might pop on and do another live tomorrow, maybe Friday. Just need to sort my diary. So I need to go in a moment. I'm being interviewed on the local radio this evening, where everything happening at once. So I need to just go and get myself ready for that and work out where I'm off to. So yeah, if you can tune into that at 7 o'clock if you are about. So yeah, anyway, I don't know if it's any more questions. I can't see anything else coming through. So thank you, Luann, for jumping on again. It's great to have you join me live. As I say, I'll share this out across YouTube and into my Arty Heaven group as well. Yeah, and I hope you found it useful. If you have missed out actually on all the other videos that I've done, I've linked them all up into one blog on my Arty Heaven website. So go to artyheaven.com, go to the blog page and you'll see it there. And then everything is all listed in one place for you. It's the easiest place to find it at the moment. So, righty, I'm going to not take any more of your time. Yeah, and any questions, let me know. All right, take care. Bye.